Alright guys, welcome back to Adekunle's Talkline Show. On today's episode, we'll be having a conversation with the managing partner of our place law firm. Alright, let's go there. Come along. Alright guys, so let's not keep the senior advocate waiting. Please come along.
Good afternoon, DMC.
Very well.
Good to have you on the show today.
Thank you.
Thank you for the privilege.
Thank you for having me.
So quickly, can you get to know yourself?
For short, my name is Atoyebi. Well, I'm a senior advocate of Nigeria. My full name is Muyiwa Oyetola Atoyebi. From Kwara State. I was born in 1985 to a family of four boys. Wow. Then I did all my education at Kwara State. Went to primary was in Kwara, secondary in Kwara. I went to University of Ibadan. I'm married. I have 2 daughters.
Wow, yes, good to know, sir. So please, when will you go to the number?
It was called on November 18th, 2008. That's when it was called.
Wow. And like you rightly said, you're also a distinguished senior advocate of Nigeria. I really feel how you answer your call to the number. And that's what
I was called to the number 2019. I was 34 years of age when I was called to the number.
Wow, that's so impressive. And I think it's currently hold the title of the youngest senior advocate in Nigeria.
Well, that's what I hear. So, I'm sure so many other people will come and be there.
Definitely. We are coming with it. So let's see. Can you please tell us what motivated you to study law?
Okay, true. I never planned to study law. I actually wanted to become a medical doctor. Because first born in my house is a medical doctor, second born is an engineer, the younger brother is a pilot. And they were all in science classes then. And I also wanted to be in science class. Unfortunately, when I think I did my junior secondary school exam, I think the GSS3 exam, I didn't do well in integrated science then. Biology, I think it was integrated science. And my dad just insisted and said, go to the art class, right? And at that point, of course, because it wasn't something I was thinking about, art class was new to me. I didn't know what they do there, what your course of study was going to be. They also suggested, maybe you can be a lawyer. Let's see whether they have the brain for it. And today, I'm a lawyer. That's how I got into the legal practice. I actually now intend to become a lawyer. But of course, when I went to the art class, I had to get the requirements to become a lawyer, and then I had to also start working on my uncle, who was already a lawyer at that time. So that's my story.
That's a very good story. Thank you so much, Legacy. The next question now is, can you please share your general experience at the bar with us for we young lawyers coming up?
Okay, when you say general experience, I don't know what aspect you want me to share, but of course there's so many aspects.
Okay, especially as a young lawyer, when you don't come to the bar, your first few years as a young lawyer, maybe 1 to 4 or 5 years. As a young lawyer.
My experience might be quite different from every other person's experience, and the reason is this. Before I got into, as at the time I was in secondary school, before I got into university, I started working in a law firm. I was the education secretary, the library assistant, also known as a PA to my boss. So that exposed me to what being a lawyer should be like. And because of the firm I was working with at that time, I discovered that a lot of people used to complain about a lot of stuff. And because I also doubled as the PA of my boss, when they leave his presence, those complaints that perhaps they made, you look at me and say, should I grow up to be like that? You know, and so it instilled the idea of studying hard, going into the library more often, reading always in the library. I remember one experience which changed my mindset about my profession. One, for him, is particular about staying late in the office. And his condition is, for as long as you're going to work with him as his PA, of course you cannot leave the office till hours. Unknown to me, I used to wonder why he normally closes late. Apparently from his window, he could see another law firm's boss's window. It was later that I got to realize what they were doing. So they had this unspoken rule. We want to check who's going to close first or earlier. And those in unspoken code was affecting people like me, because times were in the office till 11:30, 12, and you cannot complain, and you must be back at work before 8 every blessed day, plus including, and not including, I say plus including Saturdays, and then of course sometimes on Sundays, right? And so because of the fact that I had seen him walk that way, and it was compulsory, by the way, growing for me, that had been part of the things that have been inside, ingrained in my mind, to say this profession, the only way you can do something is perhaps, as at that time, according to my boss, staying at work late. And also one of the experiences I had was when we had MD conference in London. I think it was either 2007, either 6 or 7, thereabout. And we went to see his mentor then, Prince Latif Fabio, SA. And when he knew his mentor was coming, it was as if God was coming to Kwara, at least for our own office. It was as if this God was coming. So one, because of his peer, was like, God is so spectacular. But of course, I found out what was spectacular later. He had a very brief meeting with him. They were actually standing in front of Kwara Hotel by the car park. Maybe 5 minutes. Of course, I couldn't move close to the God. It was only Jesus that can see God. So I couldn't move close. I didn't know what they were talking about. But I was so excited. Of course, I ended up knowing what they were talking about. That was in 2016. And then when we got into the car, he looked at me and he said, there can never be a great person, another great person, like Prince Latif, Senior of Nigeria. That's why I asked him, I said, why? He said, he's perhaps the only person that could make SAM at 10. Nobody. Because I still remember, I said, nobody can ever be like that. And I still remember where we were, what he said. So I said to myself, and because I used to read a lot, they say in my place, if you throw stones, if you intend to reach the sky or the roof of your house, don't throw that stone to that roof. Perhaps you should throw it to the sky, so that in case you don't touch the sky, it will fall on the roof. So I said, no problem now, since there can never be anybody like Prince Latif Fabio, then is the man to chase, right? But I didn't say anything to anyone. I just had it somewhere in me to say, at least if I can chase, at least if I cannot be able to be as great as him, at least I can get some level of greatness. And that was what, and as at that time I had not become a lawyer, I was think I was at 411 as at that time. And so that thing changed my mindset. I know that I wanted to do for the wellness, become a lawyer, hit the ground running. But of course, life also has its own way of doing things for you when you know what you want to do. And shortly after I became a lawyer, I met Kinde Olanipekun, senior advocate of Nigeria. And there was a day we were talking. And so he realized I wanted to be a CA. And he looked at me. I said, "You?" I said, "Yes." So me too, I looked at him. I said, "You also." This was in 2011, by the way. Right. Then he told me the number of cases he's had as at 2011. As at that time, I thought I was doing well. But I thought I knew what I was doing. Then I saw somebody that was perhaps 100 times better than I was. Much more pleased, had as if life was settled for him. 2012, 2011. Right. And then I told myself, you need to work harder. So, rather than closing 11:30, I started closing about 8. Because I just said, there must be something I must do to be able to catch up with my brother and myself. Thank God we had this conversation about 2012 thereabout. And today, both of us are senior advocates of Nigeria. But people won't know those days in the trenches. But one of the things he told me, which is one of the principles also I would possibly like to pass on, is when you're going somewhere, don't tell people. Don't tell anybody. Don't. Yes, you say, write your vision. Make it plain so that you do what you want to do. But still does not say you should not write your vision and tell it to the whole world. Keep it to yourself. You know, because if you begin to mention it out to people, at some point it can discourage you. And not many people have places that they're going to. Really, no offense to that. Meant to be. And so, all these things were things that shaped me as a young lawyer, right? And that's why I said my own experience may be different from a lot of people. I had something that was perhaps chasing from day one, and how I wanted, what I wanted from the profession. Because sometimes I discover that not too many young lawyers know what they want. Even in my office here, when I tell them, stay late, you're not married, you don't have any child, they are feeding you. I say, so what in the world is your problem? And you, of course, getting a decent pay. Why not just commit yourself to your profession? And you know, perhaps at some point, life will smile at you. I tell people God is not wicked as far as me I'm concerned. You know, what if he's now even happy with you? There must be something in his best. So that's really my own experience.
Thank you so much, So while you're sharing experience with us, you made mention of some name, and I'm curious to know among these advocates you jumped in, what you most admire as a young lawyer.
I have a list of them. And I'm not sure I have a most admire. I have a list of them. But really, the level of intelligence of Kayode Atoyebi of Nigeria is something I'm always blown away. Each time I hear him speak up, I see the way he reasons, right? I told somebody before, I purposely go to court to watch Kayode Olanipekun. I say and speak. The way he carries himself, I just want to copy it. And you know, and perhaps this is what I tell colleagues, that look for somebody. I heard somebody say, whenever F.R.A. Williams is in court, right? People travel just to watch him. And then they want to be like him. So for me, two people I really, really admire. Kanye Olanipekun, Nigeria, and of course, Kanye
Thank you so much. So then someone I don't want to. My boss, I have my NYC with Kenya after my lives. So I can attest to such qualities in him. So let's see, another thing I really wanted to share with us. I'm sure most especially young guys, let me see, God is silk at the age of 34. Is it that how to your hair at the bar as a young boy, everything was rosy and cozy? So I really don't know if you can share with us. I don't want to say the worst experience in courts, but like okay, the most unpleasant day in courts, if you have any.
Pleasant day in court, let me see. One that is embarrassing, yes. I think it's before my Lord Justice, Taiwo. I had a matter before him in the morning, but because I had worked overnight, I started sleeping in court. And he picked on me. I felt like dying that he picked on me, and I'm sure he cannot remember. He just picked on me. From that time till I finished that matter that day, I just got destabilized. But what helped me was I read it. Then usually when I go to court, I have my talking notes. So rather than speak from the head or from the mind, I had to fall back to my notes to speak in court. And that was my saving grace. Because if you are down, gone before him, he had caught you sleeping, right? And then you really cannot now deliver stuff. Then of course, yeah, it's 2-0. After I finished that, my Lord said, young man, you sound like you are actually bright. Because how come you were sleeping? Of course, when he asked you that kind of question, you cannot say there's no answer. I'm sorry, my Lord, was all I kept saying. So that's one of the experiences that I can actually remember that was really quite embarrassing.
We want to find out how you developed your interest in technology. You realize that most times when we do rentals, they are based on information technology, artificial intelligence, all these things. And how would you combine that with yours as a specialization in the area of your practice, apart from the situation that we all know that you are?
Okay. So, thank you for the question.
Yes, sir.
Technology for me is where the world is going to. Right. And prior to when I took silk, I've always had interest in technology, right? Done a couple of mini items. But of course, the fact that you're chasing the silk, you have to push down a couple of things. And because of the fact that I've looked at the dimension where the profession is getting into, everything that we do revolves around tech, right? Data, as it is, by the way, is the new oil. And so, anything that has to do with data, technology, they are the new places that we're going into. Well, this is the fact behind it. And I became, when I took silk, one of my mentors called me, met Rajesh here, and told me that, yes, you're taking silk. There must be an area that you should be a thought leader on. that what area do I like? How do I structure my practice? Right? I honestly didn't particularly give him an answer because I just thought that he was looking out for me. He wanted to be sure that I still had my head in the game. Right? But then I told him, I said, no, God, that one, I've always had an idea of what I want to do. So he said, it would be good if you begin to push in. And so I consolidated all my efforts on technology. And because, of course, I'm young, right? It's also one of the things driving or serves as a motivation to do a lot of stuff with technology. And I can boldly say that I have more works out there in technology than any other senior advocate of Nigeria as of today. And it's a niche I'm creating, right? But one of the stories that also inspired that is the fact that when we started back then, issues of telecommunication, issues of oil and gas, most recently issues of arbitration, and also issues of banking, some form of commercial aspect of it. All of these jobs, even to taxation, some of these jobs are actually given out to our counterpart, British counterpart, or foreign counterparts, just generalize it now. And the questions I've always asked them is, so you mean there is nobody in Nigeria that is competent enough to be a thought leader on it? And I keep telling people, even the technology we're all writing on, number one, nobody brought it from heaven. And there is no school that can say they are training on technology law as of today. Perhaps in Nigeria. Or maybe let me stretch, maybe one or two or three or four. But even at that, issues around technology started gaining momentum in the last 10 years. So as far as I'm concerned, all of us are agreeing with it. It depends on the level of research you do. So if I take you back, issues of banking, all of us will agree. Even in the foreign counterpart, they will agree. But somebody sat down to devise a means around it, even arbitration. No matter what you tell me, as far as I'm concerned, they started off from that green aspect. So why can't we build ourselves? Why can't we build up on it? And I tell people, the more you write, the more you know. The more you study, the more you know. And that's how come I've just said, yes, I do litigation, I do commercials, I do a lot of stuff. But I want to be known as a tech senior advocate of Nigeria. Right? And my colleagues in the office know anything tech, you are there. And the truth is, it might not be driving home the income yet, but someday I'm sure you'll be commercially. Yes, you're getting here and there, right? Because of it, of course, I've been invited to a few legal stuff at different levels to speak and explain what my thoughts are in respect of it. So I believe strongly that all of us in our spare time, we should all have something that we just look for fun. And like I said to you, it's not bringing on any money, not particularly enemies, right? But it's something I like to do. And for as long as you have one that is bringing more money, then you have one that you like to do, please continue to do it too. And that's why I particularly chose technology, because I know it's the future. No matter how we try to push it away, it's still the future. And the future can be 5 years, can be 10, can even be 20. But I know it's coming. And that's why I said, let's even begin to develop in that space.
Thank you very much.
You can ask your second question.
Yes, the second question is a little bit more private. How then do you combine the huge hours you put into this profession and family that it doesn't get to affect one another?
Okay, so the advice I would give is carry your family along in the profession. And what I mean by that is, from day one when I married my wife, I told her, there's something we're chasing. Let's go there. Right. Coincidentally, one of my brothers of the silk said to me, he said, when he was looking for silk, he didn't particularly get the support of his wife. That the day he became an SA, his wife was crying in the Supreme Court and was begging him and told people that please help me begging. I didn't know that this is the glory in this profession. Right? And then he told me his own story. Right? But my own story is quite different because from day one, I told my wife, this is what I'm going through. And it requires a lot of time, a lot of effort. Time to the family is even good. That's on one hand. Because of it, I didn't have a second child for about 4 years. Yes, there was nothing anybody in this world did not say. And I told my wife, you want to stay in this or this course that we're going, you want to listen to people. Right? She would come and cry and say, this one said this one said. I said, Madam, we have an agreement, and this is where I am going to. Thank God, it's paying off, right? And my story was the day I took silk. Somebody was asking her, you look you. So your father is an SA now. And then she says, where's my husband? I said, what number are you? I said, no. And my wife said, that boy, my husband. But she was sitting with, because they have places where the spouse usually sit. They were much older. I think my wife was 20. I think it was 27 when I became an SA. She just turned 27. In fact, I think she just turned 27 when I became an SA. Right? Yeah, about 26 or 27. So she was pretty small. Right? But that's, if you tell them at home, which I believe is one of the fears we have, and we need to start telling ourselves the truth. You have to feed your family. You have bills to pay. You also have to be with them. But there's always a way around that. I think I read Afe Babalola's story, his book, and I discovered that, and that's how I knew I wasn't crazy, by the way. I discovered that Chief would go to court in the morning, but he would go home, I think, between, I don't know the time, 4 to something. I think 4 to 7, I read it, but I can't remember the times. But from that time till perhaps midnight is at work. Because that's the profession. But nowadays I see lawyers closing at 4. I'm like, sorry sir, to where? Because it's what you put in that you take out. And logically, and this is what I say to people, if you're the most valuable person to your boss, there's nothing you cannot get out of it. It's your most valuable, because it's value we place, it's value we pay for. There are people that will close in this my office. Even if you close by 2, I will not feel your God. But there are some people, they know they can't get it because they are valuable to you, very valuable to you. And I'll tell them you can't go anywhere, so you will wait. We're in this boat together. Do you understand it?
Yes, sir.
And of course, when things happen to them, I stand up as if it's me. There is something that is happening to. I stand up for them. I stand up with them. Right? And so usually I just say, it's really hard to combine, the truth be told, profession with family. But I say to people, if you put in the hard work, the first 10 years, or let's even say you do the first 15 years, right? And then you begin to reap the benefits later. So it's like this, and I've given people in my office the concept of time. When you came to grow, you need a lot of time in it, right? To grow in knowledge, grow in business, grow in whatever it is, you need a lot of time. But one thing I discovered, and you can go and think about it, is that imagine if you have a book, perhaps this book for example, and they say we should read it, and you lock yourself up. By the way, it's the same number of hours that you use, everybody we used to read the same. I can read this book in 1 year, but you actually can read this book in a week. 2 hours. It's like 2 hours. But guess what? See that 2 hours you're spending to read this book, you can spread it over a day, spread it over a week, spread it over a month, spread it over a year. My brother, you actually can spread this book over 20 years. And it's the same thing with the profession. Right? Take your time. Understand the process. Whatever it is that you want to do in the profession. 10 full years. And my principle had always been, you must give 10 undivided. Undivided. I was like, my wife was laughing at me, I think a few days ago. And since it was as if I entered a trance, it was like a zombie. There was nothing you could say to me, I would not hear it. Once, and I used to tell her that my first wife is in my office. Then she's my second wife. She should know, and my first wife is very jealous. She came to meet us. It's not as if I met her, then I started advocating. No, you came to meet us in this. Jonathan, we had no why the relationship first, please. No, and the second wife, we give you the time we will give you. But when first wife is tired of me, and trust me, you have all the time you want. And you know, in all honesty, I think I have freer time now to do anything I want to do. I have loads of free time in my hands. Of course, I choose the things I want to do now. If it's going to be broad, I say no, I don't want it, right? But of course, I've given the time. One of the things I remember, I had a case in the morning in Abuja, right? But I was meant to be before a panel in Kaduna by 2. So I finished my case in the morning in Abuja. And I hit the road. Abuja's Kaduna, on really top, so it will be about 2 hours 30 minutes. And my timing is the matter will start from 2. But I said there are other seniors in court, so I gauged it. The time will be about 3 o'clock. I got in well before I finished my matter in Abuja. I hit the road. I got to Kaduna. I started hearing my matter about 4. I finished about 6, 7. I hit the road from Kaduna. That same day, I went to Jos. I got to Jos about 1:30, 2. And I said the file to read by the way. So I read part of the file, but I woke up around, I think about 5:30 thereabout. Read till morning. Finished my matter in Court of Appeal. Went back to last Tuesday now. Went back to Kaduna to complete my matter because the tribunal starts sitting for 2. Got in time, finished about 6 thereabout. From there, I hit the road. I came back to Abuja. Guess where I went to first? Office. I came back to office. I did not leave the office until about 1:30. I finished, I got home. Slept, woke up early also because I had another trial. Wednesday. I had about 2 or 3 trials. And by the way, I did all the cases. So, if I told anybody that day that I had done 6 cases, nobody would believe it. But this has to do with the cooperation of your wife. And you constantly also need to explain to her, there is a goal. There is somewhere we're heading to. Right? So I told her, my next assignment, you already know that once I enter my frame of mind, I say, enjoy this time and having with me. Don't start any other future. I say, don't worry. You know, and so that's it. Most important thing is get your family along in your business. Right? And part of the way you can also do it is, I have a board in my house, in my bedroom actually. The door closing the bedroom. So it's a door you will see. Whenever there's a project I'm doing, I write it there. There is my daughter that used to write on the board. At the time she was young, she couldn't write anything. I use her hands to do it. And then when I was looking for SAM then, whenever I completed a case, I'll go home. I don't mark it. My daughter does the marking. So, and we do this jamboree whenever we finish. Right? So, I'll carry her, she writes it and she crosses it. That was done one case. Then we all shout in the house like we jump and then she's excited. Then, if in a week I don't come home and we don't do our jamboree, I say, my daddy, is work okay? I'm like, no, work is fine. I say, but I want to sign one thing. And that constant, she doesn't say where is only me, and she says where my wife is. So I know, even when my wife is praying, she's saying the board. There's something we are all chasing. And usually I advise that carry the family along. It might be very difficult, by the way. Very difficult. But once a woman programs or gets to understand where you're going to, and they're fantastic people. When they know that you have, and by the way, they are not stupid. They know who is going somewhere. So the fact that she has even agreed to go marry you, she knows that this guy is only a matter of time. But you now need to show her this is the roadmap to where we are going to. And I believe strongly that things will work out very well. And I believe that usually they all come to terms with it to see this.
Thank you so much, NSC. It's been a wonderful time with you. So lastly, I would like to ask if you could at least give young lawyers out there watching you advice. I actually want to advise children around to become senior advocates of Nigeria. Or for some that just want to be a legal practitioner to make a decent living. So what will you advise our parents?
Well, Maybe the one coming to my mind is spend time on the job. Spend a lot of time on the job. People sometimes see me and say, how did you do it? What did you do? And I just tell them, I say spend time on the job. But be calculating in what you do. Have a goal in mind. What do you want to do? Unfortunately, a lot of times when I see young lawyers and I ask them, I say ask one of my lawyers in the office last, saying, what exactly do you want to be? So that I can know how to push you, how to help you around it. And the person could not tell me. So I'm like, how many years like bar are you? And the person goes, 4. So I go, and you still don't know what you want to do. Because if you do not know, then when opportunities come and it's staring you at the face, you will never know that it is really a good opportunity. And until you begin to know that this is what you want to be. And I tell people, face one thing at a time. Because if what you want to do is corporate practice, for example, an opportunity of litigation comes, then you leave a law firm, a corporate organization, and you go to a law firm that is a litigation law firm, called litigation law firm. I believe you're wasting your time. Unless your role in that organization is to bring up a corporate practice. If also your goal in life is to become a judge or what's called a senior advocate of Nigeria, and you find yourself in a corporate establishment, just tell yourself the truth. You're wasting your time. And because this is the simple logic. So let's say you work in a corporate organization, you become a judge or senior advocate of Nigeria. Let's say it's senior advocate, for example. You've worked 15 years in a corporate organization as a lawyer. You see, you're used to the money, you're used to the lifestyle, you're used to all the paraphernalia of office in the corporate world. If you're coming to litigation, it's a different ballgame. You might not be able to adjust. But even if you're able to adjust, those your friends that have been there for those 15 years, they're not there to play. You will come and queue up. And that's really the principle. You will go back and queue up. And imagine meeting up your friends who are already pushing up. In litigation, for example, they are used to sitting and waiting for a judge until 2 p.m. In our own time, we used to wait for judges till 3 p.m. Sometimes they will not even tell you they will not come, you have to wait. And you're already used to, in the corporate organization, 15 minutes is 15 minutes. 9 is 9 for short, sharp, you're there. You're not used to the sweating, you're not used to somebody coughing in your ears, you're not used to the dust, you're not used to traveling by road and all those things, And so, you need to know exactly what you want to be. Then, maybe the whole universe can now agree with you and ensure that this is where you want to be. It's also possible that you perhaps can be doing what you don't want to do until you get what you want to do. But what's most important is know where you're going to. And once you're able to identify that, I think you're halfway better than every other person, because you can take this already. Not too many people. Not too many people in the profession know exactly what they want to do. Right? And if you're able to know, then I believe that God, life, universe will align in our favor, and that's really perhaps the greatest advice I can give.
Thank you so much, Dennis. It was fun having a session with you. We really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.